Hi there, if you're watching me for the first time, my name is Ophelia Boma. I'm your online clinical psychologist. Today, I'm coming your way to share a very powerful story to you, a real life professional story that you can learn from. Okay, I'm going to talk about cognitive biases and things that every day that come across us in our lifetime. I'm sharing this story because I know you would learn from it. One time, or a long time ago, I was working in a hospital setting, and there was an alcohol group that we meet weekly for alcohol group support. And so I was making inquiries so that I could lead the group or support the team lead of the group in organizing this alcohol group therapy. So I then went and asked the nurse who was foreseeing this. I asked her about the group, when they meet, times they meet, how it's like, age range, and types of problems and or challenges. And she said, oh, she hasn't got all the information right now, but she can share with me the time, and she can share with me. She can take my number and then share with me later on. I said no problem. So she took my number, and right away she saved it, Boma alcohol group. I saw it and then I smiled. I didn't correct her, but I want you to learn something from the story. Don't go anywhere. Have you heard of the word labeling or cognitive bias? Good. The nurse labeled me, the contact, as Boma alcohol group. It's not safe. Some people say they will save your name. Me, I always ask people of their full names when I'm saving their contacts. What is your full name? Normally I say, what is your name? And they mention Ophelia. I said, no, please, your full name. Because I hate saving people's contact. Ophelia Carpenter, Ophelia Taylor. Yes, it may be what they do, but you don't depersonalize the person or the individual to what they do. Or Boma, Bola, because the person comes to your house and pick Bola every time, so it's easier to recognize them. You can actually save their full name, and some phones have company names or organization or where they work, and then you save it there. Sometimes some phone, when you ring up the person's contact, their whole information will come up there. But this person, out of cognitive bias and labeling, did not have enough evidence, did not ask me of more information about me, but basically because of contextual association. In psychology, this actually means fundamental attribution error, meaning that the person assumed my identity based on a single situation. Just because I came to ask alcohol group, now I've become alcoholic. Implicit bias inside of you, unconscious assumptions about my roles, my status, my identity, my intention, my responsibility in the society. So sometimes you just meet some people somewhere once, and then you say because you met them here, they are like that. But it is an implicit bias. It is you, how you have thought about that person, not who the person is. Number 3, categorization, the brain's ability, right? The brain's ability to shortcut and make sense of certain information, even though there's a lack of information. So the nurse's brain just told her that, because Ophelia has asked about alcohol group, she is an alcoholic. She didn't ask who I am, right, or what I do for a living, but her brain just decided to fill in the gaps. Now, the power of silent assumptions. I noticed that she wrote my name like that, but I didn't change it. This created what we call natural psychological experiment, because I wanted to see where this would go. So her belief remained unchallenged. So it's a belief she has built about me now. Okay? And I'm not the one who said, no, don't say my name like this. It's like this. No, I'm going to allow life to teach you a lesson. So her belief remained unchallenged, and she had it, even though it could be the delusion, right? Reality later contradicted her assumptions, which is why later on, actually, she saw me at the group not as Ophelia alcohol group, but Ophelia clinical psychologist. That is it. The shock came. That shock is more what we call cognitive dissonance, okay? When you have already formed certain belief about somebody, and then you see them and there's a discomfort. There's a discomfort in you because now your belief has clashed with the truth. Now you saw this person at the clubhouse and she was dressed in a way you think she's a stripper. Sorry for me to use that word. And now you see that she's not a stripper. She's actually a corporate lady. Or you may have treated somebody badly and now the office you're entering to go and seek for help, she's the secretary to the main boss. And now you find all this cognitive dissonance coming out because your belief has been clashed with the truth of life. So that moment exposed how fragile assumptions are. You are always looking for shortcuts. And I said the shortcut is called what? Categorization. When your brain makes shortcuts of certain limited information so that you can have certain answers at a particular time. There's also what we call reality versus identity confusion. Reality versus identity constitution. Because one, she saw me as someone looking for alcohol group, not as somebody who is her colleague or as the client's family member or maybe a professional or even a clinical psychologist. She just saw me as someone needing alcohol support. This actually means that people are judged by where you are seen, right? And not who you are. So you're going to be judged, you looking at me right now, you're going to be judged somehow by anybody somehow where you're seen with the person. Sometimes people will meet you doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, or the unexpected thing at the wrong time. Maybe you were busy and you just put on something, you were not looking good. Someone sees you somewhere and then go and tell another person, hey, when I saw her, she wasn't looking good. But didn't they say she's this? Didn't they say he's that? When I saw him, he was not looking good at all. Because I saw you one time where you are seen what you say, what you wear, and they just assume for you. Status is inferred from what? Context, not competence. Actually, it is how you think about the person that matters, not who the person is. Okay? And I want us to all understand the lesson here is that never define people by one moment. One scene does not define a person's education, life purpose, belongingness, or sense of self, or calling, or expertise. Today somebody may be an observer, like you may be observing someone's life, but tomorrow that person may be a leader. Like in this my case, she saw me as an alcoholic needing support group, but the next time she saw me, I was a leader. Do you understand what I mean? So do not define people by your assumptions, by your categorization, or even from what we call the fundamental attribution of error. Don't ever do that. Always ask questions. I will never save someone's name by what they say, what's the name? Boma Baller, because the person comes to take Baller from your house. So now it's Boma Baller or Boma Cleaner because the person cleans your office or cleans your home. I always ask for full names and what they do so that you can say that is a right way. Don't you? That's the reason for the phone. The phone has your name, your contact, where you work, your email. That is the best way to save someone's contact. Assumptions will humble you, okay, or they will expose you. Who you are. So me as a psychologist, I'm not always bothered about. Okay, so as I was saying before this interruption came, okay, what I meant was that assumptions humble us or expose us, as in not the perpetrator, but the one who had that kind of assumption. An example is the nurse. She was shocked not because of me changing. In fact, I didn't change because that was my personality, right? But she was shocked because her perception about me was wrong. All right, so what's the lesson here? When we assume about others, it says more about us than it is about them. Okay, so your assumptions is the makeup of who you are, your experiences, your thoughts, your conceptions or perception about who the person is or what you have been through. There's also the saying that people live by their own traumas, and so they are triggered by their own traumas, not basically what you have said or what you have done. What you have said or done could be read differently by them. Number three, silence can be a mirror. Okay, by not correcting her and allowing her to keep writing what she wrote, it means that I allowed her to live in her belief, or which is more about her delusions, that I was indeed in the alcohol group. Okay, and this also means that the reality to reveal the truth was done naturally. I didn't have to force it, I didn't have to push it. And this teaches us that restraint, patience, wisdom, and emotional intelligence is always important and needed when you're dealing with people like this. So always allow things to evolve by themselves. Well, there are certain times or situations or events where you have to immediately come in. Other times too, you just have to let them evolve naturally by themselves. Banti, do you know this? So number four, okay, titles are temporary, character is constant. You do not announce yourself, okay, no matter your title or status or intentions. Sometimes you just need to show up in competence. Sometimes you just need to show up professionally and handle things professionally, okay. This will reflect humility. So there was a saying that there are some doctors, when you ask them what is their name, they will first of all start by saying, I am doctor, as if the doctor is part of the surname, right? Okay, but this also teaches us to be humble, to always be guided by our professionalism, and also be grounded in our identity and who we are, what we stand for, and our values in life. What advice can I give to people? Okay, so to professionals, healthcare, wherever you work, whatever that you do in education and leadership, okay, you need to ask clarifying questions instead of assuming. Assumptions are not the way forward for us. Okay, especially if you're a researcher, you know assumptions will not give you the best of results that you need. If you are also a healthcare giver, one thing I have realized in my practice or in my profession, I always do not like, I used not to like to ask questions about who they are. It felt a bit intrusive, but with our kind of profession, the more questions you ask, the more clarity you gain. And so always ask people who they are, what they're doing, like extend the conversation. Don't just cut it short or limit it and then later on form your own assumptions. It will not help you in what you want to find, and you may even put yourself in trouble. Number two, treat everyone with dignity, regardless their perceived role or how they look or anything. One thing I've also learned in my profession is not to judge the book. Is not to judge the book by its cover. Okay, when someone walks into the therapy room, you can never tell who they are, what they are, because in the therapy room, you don't see the car they drive in. Okay, you can't even tell what they are really like wearing, whether what they were wearing was different from what they came in, or they changed in the car or something. And so you always have to treat people with dignity, with respect, and then to be acceptable. Because for me, what I've learned is also that the more you ask questions about someone, the more interested you are in them and having the ability to help them in the best way possible. Number three, never underestimate who is watching you or who is learning or leading you. There have been so many stories where people have treated their bosses very rudely or meanfully, and then later on they find out that they are their boss, right? And so someone is always watching you, someone is always noticing, someone is always you're always on someone's radar, right? And then to individuals out there listening to me, do not rush to explain yourself to people who haven't asked you any question. For me, when I saw that she wrote Boma Alcohol Group, I just kept quiet. And even in all my conversations, sometimes when people ask me, what are you? And I say, I work in a hospital. They say, you are a nurse? And I just say, yes. Because why would you limit me? The best question is, oh, you work in a hospital, so what do you do? Do you enjoy your work? People assume everyone who works in the hospital is either a doctor or a nurse. And for women, they will always assume you're a nurse. So I accept it. Sometimes when they ask, I say, I work in a school. Oh, so you're a teacher? I say, yes, I'm a teacher. At the end of the day, I don't care whatever you think of me as a teacher. In fact, I just like it like that. So, but learn not to rush people when you ask them questions. Just wait and ask them the real question. Don't just assume. Okay, let your work speak louder than your labels. I love that. That is my integrity. That is my hallmark. Yeah, or what gives me dignity. I would always want my work to show up for wherever that I work. And I learned it from my dad. Yes. He's a man of discipline, a man of his words. Stay grounded when misunderstood. Stay grounded when misunderstood. Truth will always reveal itself. Yes. I was patient, I waited for the right time, and I didn't even have to talk, but she was shocked. Yeah. Lastly, from a psychological lens, okay, like from me telling you this advice myself, check your implicit biases daily from your own lens. Why am I having these biases with me? What's the problem? What happens to me? Why do I assume? Are you a gossiper? Because a gossiper doesn't get a chance to ask their intrusive questions, so they get the right answer, right? But you have to check out your implicit, your internal biases. These are the things that make us not help people, or these are the things that actually causes us to look at other people differently. That is just it. And then practice curiosity over conclusion. All right, practice curiosity over conclusion. Thank you very much. Yeah, practice curiosity over conclusion. Be curious. Have a curious mind always, here and there. Always want to get to know people. Me, I have a hallmark that says that if you don't have any interest as me, you and I, we don't have any connection. If I'm interested in you, you find me asking you questions. If I'm not, and I just want to rush you over, I'll just say one or two words. But be interested in, be curious about people. It's so that is even the art of conversations. Being curious. Even when you're reading a literature research, being curious about why this research took place. And then replace I assume to I wonder. I wonder. I wonder what you do for a living. I wonder why you started this profession. I wonder why you live here. I wonder questions. There are questions that lead to a beautiful end. So what I like to say is that people easily misread others. They just assume stuff and it doesn't end there. It's a loop they fall into. And so sometimes life will correct you, other times too, you live in your delusion. And at the end of the day, you'll find yourself one thing. So in short, this is what I have for you today. If you love it,